Liberty Bankers Life is probably the best company when it comes to making improvements and updates on their final expense product. I mean, these guys have obviously listened to the agents and are constantly making upgrades to simplify the use for both the face-to-face e-application and the final expense telephone application process. If you're considering writing the Liberty Bankers Life final expense product, you'll definitely want to see this video, as I'm going to share some really cool pro tips on how to correctly use and underwrite their product. And I'll even go over their niches and share exactly why you should 100% definitely have them in your bag and be writing them like all the time. And now is a great time to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe with the notifications turned on. We're putting out new training videos and new content just like this every single week. Liberty Bankers Life has decided to think outside the box and do something that none of the other final expense companies are doing. They've created something called the Final Expense Precheck. And if you'd like a copy of my appointment setting super file, which has my scripts for setting appointments with different types of leads, simply hang around until the end of the video and I'll show you how to get this important zip file for yourself. The Final Expense Precheck is a mobile underwriting assessment tool that you have an option of using with Liberty Bankers Life's final expense product. It does three things. Has a rate check so you can price out quotes for your client. It has a medication check where you punch in your client's medications and it'll show you how Liberty Bankers Life views and underwrites those medications. And third, it has a underwriting risk assessment check. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. You put your client's information, their health issues, their medications in the app, and this bad boy will give you an underwriting risk assessment within 1 minute. Even better, once you have your client's information in this, it can connect to the e-application and autofill your client's information, which is going to save you from having to re-input their pertinent information. Sweet. FYI, you can use one or all three of the pre-check options, but if you want to do the underwriting assessment, you got to be face-to-face with your client. They're going to ask you to take a photo of the client's identification, which actually helps to autofill their information, and connect the pre-check to the e-application. Liberty Bankers Life will insure folks between 18 and 80 years old. They've got preferred, standard, and modified rates, so it's 3 products in one. The death benefit can be as low as $3,000 and it maxes out at $30,000, and they've got some really cool riders. You can add a grandchild rider, a child rider, and a true accidental death and dismemberment rider. They have some really cool underwriting niches, which I'll go over here in a couple of minutes. They do true Social Security billing, which is very important. And if you need to post-date the first draft, most companies are going to allow you to do that 30 days, but Liberty Bankers Life will actually allow you to do that up to 35 days in advance. Yeah, you can go out 35 days. Pretty cool, right? I absolutely love their e-application for face-to-face sales. You fill out the e-application or connect it to the pre-check, and at the end, it will tell you if the client is approved as applied for or not, or they will make another offer. In other words, if the client, you're trying to get level or preferred rates and they're offering standard rates, they'll do that. The whole process only takes about 15 to maybe 20 minutes, which isn't bad at all. And for telesales, Liberty Bankers Life has a true telephonic application process. You simply dial in the phone number for the telephonic processing people. You give the Liberty Bankers Life operator / agent, whatever they are, your information and your client's information too. And then you put your client on the phone, and what will happen is the agent will read them the HIPAA notice, and at that point they're going to ask all the health questions on the application. Then once they're done with all that, they're going to want to speak with you. This is pretty cool because they're only going to give the underwriting decision to you. That way you can tell your client that they've either been approved as applied for, or if there is a different offer. But it allows you the ability to decide which way you want to go. Whether you want to go to the other offer or just go ahead and apply to a different company. And guys, if it's all good and you're happy with the results, you just give them your client's banking information and set up the draft date based on their Social Security, income, payday, of course, and you're good to go. As far as the underwriting and niches are concerned, they do a prescription background check and a MIB, Medical Information Bureau database checks, just like all the other final expense companies. They do have a bill chart, so they're going to ask about the height and weight. They only care about insulin if the client started using it before the age of 25 years old. So insulin diabetics can qualify for preferred rates. They will give first aid coverage for people with standard rates for COPD, as long as they've never used oxygen. Oxygen's always going to be a knockout. They're going to give the standard rates to folks with epilepsy, who have seizures, doesn't matter how many or when they've had the last one. Hepatitis C, as long as they're not on dialysis. And we do see a lot of folks with lupus and Parkinson's disease, which is also standard rates with Liberty Bankers Life. Like most final expense carriers, they don't care about high blood pressure or the type 2 diabetes, as long as it's all controlled through the medication. They don't ask about depression or bipolar or even schizophrenia. That's nice. Now, here's a question that you might be thinking. Is Liberty Bankers Life a good enough product, a good enough carrier to actually lead with? To use as your #1 primary carrier? The answer is yes, absolutely. I definitely think they're good enough as an all-around product to lead with, especially since they do insure people as young as 18 years old. The price, the monthly rates, in most cases, the preferred rates will beat out both Prosperity and Royal Neighbors. That's pretty good, guys. And as far as their cons are concerned, there really isn't any. I bet the Home Office loves to hear that. I mean, these guys have got themselves one heck of a well-rounded product. The only thing that I wish that you at Liberty Bankers Life would change is that, guys, they can only set up payments for people who have a checking and or savings account. They don't like to take the government-issued Direct Express cards or other refillable credit cards or debit cards. And again, Liberty Bankers Life, if you're listening, I get it. This is totally understandable. I know the persistence with these type of payments, these prefillable debit cards, is pretty terrible. However, I will occasionally be in the situation where the client either can't locate their checking account number, so I want to use the debit card just temporarily, or they only have a Direct Express card and actually are very interested in the insurance. So yes, I get it. The persistence is bad with these folks, but some of them will keep the insurance and do everything possible to make sure that there is money on that card to pay for the insurance. If you'd like a copy of the appointment setting super file that I mentioned earlier in the video, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com for more information on contracting through us. And yes, we do have the Liberty Bankers Life product. And yes, you will be a true independent agent with us, which means you're going to have access to like all the top carriers for both final expense and Medicare Advantage and other life insurance products, along with use of our training platform and our 100% completely exclusive direct mail leads. Just shoot me an email at that same address. Remember, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now, get out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting.